So I think the common issues we face is maybe our internet is not working properly. That could be an issue. I think the most common issue I can think of. Not everyone is able to really have access to internet. Another issue of online earning is maybe the stress of having to stay at home and having to always be on top of our computer screens, having to always look on our screens. I think that itself is a pretty much difficult thing to do, online learning.
The main issue is probably laziness because you're too comfortable at home, and then most probably you're studying on your bed and then in your bedroom, and then when you get too comfortable, it's like you tend to doze off, or sometimes with your cell phones next to you, and then you're not in college, so it's like there's no lecturer to like look at you and something, so you tend to like do things that you like more than actually focusing on lectures and stuff. So you won't pay as much attention as before. That is one of the issue. Um, Another issue is maybe like because there's no social interactions between you and your friends and your lecturers, so you might not be able to catch up and get the gist of certain subject as good as last time when you can actually ask the lecturers on the spot.
And how do we cater to that? An alternative is maybe teachers have to prepare modules and probably send it to them in rural areas. Like maybe those students have to go to teachers' home or maybe a place where they can get those materials in physical form so that they can go back and maybe they can learn themselves if they don't have access to internet.
Maybe certain large corporations, maybe, so like for example, if say we talk about like Maxis or something, maybe they can try and have CSR projects to kind of help these underprivileged communities, to either give them cheaper plans for internet services, or in terms of giving them devices. But yeah, I think whatever it is, we should try and focus on helping them assimilate in online classes rather than trying and find another alternative. Yeah.
Like, one of the best initiatives so far that I can see is this TDate TV that the government launched earlier this year. Yeah, that is like one of the good initiative, like where they allocate certain sessions for different level of students. Like maybe standard one, your session is like this time, so they can actually watch that, because these TV packages, right? It's like from TV 1 to TV 9. It's like literally free for all. Don't talk about Unify and Astro and all that lah. So most people can have access to this. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can have NGOs to take up responsibility to distribute smartphones, smart gadgets, and laptops and all that. But at the end of the day, right, I think that if you want to be more access, I mean, you want to have access to online learning and you want to have a good online learning experience, right? The effort falls on you.
Everything is like just one click away, and then you can get your informations like really rapidly just through online and everything. But then the another aspect, I mean, like this another view is that it's actually like how we mentioned just now, is actually really quite not really fair to those who are underprivileged, because they don't actually get to enjoy all this privilege. And so only us who actually have the rights to to have all this access.
Online learning has been, I would say, a revolution lah in our learning process. It's not just the fact that we have to go attend classes online, but it's also the fact that we have so many materials, like what you said, in one, like just a click away. All these things are just a click away. Particularly when it comes to legal research, can you imagine back in the days, when you want to do legal research, you have to go to the library and you have to like flip through all those thousands of pages, to find those right cases, the right statute law. Now we have LexisNexis, we have Westlaw, and it makes our life so much easier, so much more efficient. And I can't imagine without them, I can't imagine doing any legal research without all these search engines.
I would say like the good side might be that the underprivileged may think that online learning enables the students with disabilities to participate on more equal footing with their classmates without drawing attention to their disabilities or being held back by them, because once it's online, right, it's conducted online, you won't see them physically. You only see their face or nothing at all if they don't turn on their cameras. So on the other hand, some may realize that it actually increases the burden of their parents, as having like the necessary equipment isn't sufficient for them to attend their classes, because it comes together with internet connection, subscriptions, etc., etc.
Yeah, the impact. I think when we talked about the impact, it's really big, I think, because being in the rural area itself is a big gap for education for them. Because being in the rural area, I think even without COVID itself, I think there's a big gap. There's a big education gap. And COVID, I think it worsened that gap.
Our lives go back to normal. I really hope that whatever issues that were brought to light during the pandemic, for the rural areas, like connection problems, Wi-Fi connection problems, and all these technical problems. I really hope that the government doesn't just abandon them, because it's not a lie to think that it requires good publicity for the government to finally take action. Like let me just go back to the Saban girl again, like her case, bad Wi-Fi, all this stuff, right? And it was only when her case really hit the news, only then the government came in and actually built her and the community like a proper pusat computer for them.
I think the impact of COVID-19 is clearly global extreme poverty, because like the poor become poorer and maybe the rich become richer, because this is the time they take the advantage or chances of as exploiting anything.
But right now, not really. And I think that it's unfortunate that we're in a situation where for poorer communities, I think that for a lot of them had to forsake their education. That is not even a priority anymore, unfortunately, because I think that their priority from day to day is just to try and survive. And that's why we see white flags and all that. I mean, you can't worry about online classes when you have to worry about having food on the table, or making it your next meal, or if your parents have underlying health conditions, or if they've tested positive for COVID, how do they get access to that instead? So I think that's also why the government is probably not doing much, because people are not pressing enough. I think it's something that's often overlooked, internet accessibility. So yeah,
It's like, okay, even if they do help out, right? It's like when the problem happened already and then it went viral on social media, then only the government will come in and help. It's like basically it seems to me it's like a political tool to actually gain popularity among the people so that they can probably win the next election or people like them or something like that. Yeah, it's more for this purpose. So if there is like no news or something like that, they would not like take the initiative to go find out like what are the students in this country, what are their problems they're facing during learning and try to fix it. They will not. It's like so there's no news, so saya tak tahu, something like that. Yeah.
I think once educational institutions reopen post the lockdown, right? Perhaps they could move away from the traditional teaching method of using whiteboards. Yeah, and they can start playing with education related technology to enhance their pedagogy. And for example, they may provide teaching materials in advance through emails or school websites. Now some schools, right, they have their own apps, or they use certain websites, so you can gain access to all the materials in advance through the website. Yeah, and in terms of classroom activities, the teachers may make use of various platforms or websites to facilitate interactive discussions and simulations. And this will ensure that the new generation of students are equipped with at least the fundamental knowledge of technology.
Implement more technology usage in schools, like using Microsoft Word and all that. And I think maybe a way forward in the future, since everyone is now used to online learning using handphones. Maybe we need to allow students to use their handphones in school, maybe, or maybe give them access to Chromebooks or tabs where they can use in the classroom, so that they have more information and they just don't need to rely on textbooks anymore.
Education-based improvements. I think this pandemic experience has really taught a lot of educational institutions to properly have in place those technological and digital facilities for students to learn. And I know that even before the pandemic, I know some universities uses like a hybrid form of learning, like they have physical and also digital.